Federal Conservative leader Pierre is calling for a massive pressure campaign to push the governing Liberals to help pass a piece of legislation that would remove the carbon tax from fuels used in some agricultural activities. During a news conference in Vancouver on Monday, this is what he said.
In the upper chamber, have been able to work with some other senators to win some procedural votes on this bill, C-234. So the drama is now building because Trudeau has said he won't allow any more carve-outs to the carbon tax. We remember that just a few weeks ago, he carved out the tax on home heating for some people in regions where his support was plummeting and his caucus was revolting. But his environment minister says he will resign if there are any more carve-outs. He says, as long as I'm environment minister, there will be no carve-outs. That message to Justin Trudeau is very clear. He's going to have a cabinet resignation if this bill, C-234, passes the Senate. So what's going to happen? Well, the pressure is on. And today, I announce that the Common Sense Conservatives are launching a full-on campaign to push for Liberal senators to allow the passage of C-234 to take the carbon tax off farmers and food. We now know that Justin Trudeau's top ministers have been frantically calling senators, begging them to block this bill. My message to Canadians is, call your Liberal MP. Tell them to get Justin Trudeau out of the way. Tell them to call the PMO and have them announce that the Senate will be allowed to pass this bill. We can't have more taxes on our food when 2 million people are already forced to food banks and Canadians are forced to downgrade their diets. This is a common sense solution. It's a compassionate solution. And we pledge to work with all Canadians over the next weeks to mount a massive pressure campaign, just as we did on home heat, to take this tax off. So join with Common Sense Conservatives. Let's take the tax off so Canadians can feed their families.
Poilievre was speaking in favor of a private member's bill put forth by Conservative MP Ben Lobb. Bill C-234 passed the House of Commons in March, mostly supported by opposition parties. It's now in the Senate, but procedural wrangling has delayed a vote on it until later this month. The bill would remove the carbon tax on natural gas and propane used in such activities as irrigation, grain drying, feed preparation, and heating and cooling barns and greenhouses. Poilievre pledged to work with all Canadians over the next weeks to mount a massive pressure campaign, just as we did on home heat, to take this tax off. The proposed legislation comes as the government deals with the fallout of its decision last month to pause the carbon tax on home heating oil. The federal Conservatives and some premiers have pushed for the exemption to be expanded beyond oil to all fuels used for home heating. Trudeau has firmly closed the door on any further exemptions. Trudeau told reporters in late October that there will be absolutely not be any other carve-outs or suspensions of the price on pollution. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault has similarly drawn a line in the sand on new carve-outs. He said, as long as I am the Environment Minister, there will be no exemptions to carbon pricing. But the passage of C-234 might take the decision out of government's hand. Poilievre's appeal on Monday called for Canadians to put pressure on the government to allow a vote on the bill. He said that high-ranking ministers have been frantically lobbying senators concerning the legislation. He said the bill, which is supported by industry groups like the Grain Growers of Canada and the Canadian Pork Council, was an important step in solving affordability issues plaguing Canadians. Poilievre ended by saying that it's a common sense solution, it's a compassionate solution.